Welcome. Joe Volpe, publisher Corriere Canadese. You know it as North America's only Italian language daily newspaper in hard copy, as well as online. And we're continuing our discussions about the municipal elections in Southern Ontario. Today, in particular, the election, the mayoralty and council election in the city of Brampton. And we have with us this morning none other than the mayor of Brampton, Her Worship, Linda Jeffrey. Linda, welcome.
Nice to be here.
Listen, now, Linda, I've known you for quite some time. You have a varied political career. You started off in Brampton as a, I guess, councillor, an
They used to call them aldermen.
Yeah, we can't say alderperson. Alderman.
Yeah.
And then you went to the Queen's Park, the
Yeah.
provincial level. You were a minister of municipal affairs, weren't you?
Yep, I was a minister of labor, I was a minister of natural resources. I was the chair of cabinet when I left. A great job, because then you can tell everybody to be quiet when you're running a meeting. It was great.
Yeah, that would have made you popular.
It was power. I loved it. It was fun.
But then you decided to give all that up to go back to Brampton as mayor.
Yeah, to be honest, when I left council in 2003, I actually told myself, I'm never going back. I've done city politics. I don't like the way it's being run. I don't like the people running it. I know we could do better. So I went to the province and I swore I'd never come back. But in 2013, 14, people started calling me and asking me to come back. And our city was in a state of flux, actually. All members of council, all 11, were under a criminal investigation about their expenses. Our mayor was on the front of the newspaper. I was dealing with Rob Ford at the time, and I was dealing with Mayor Susan Fennell, and there were some challenges, and Brampton's reputation was not the best.
But Brampton's not a small town. I remember when it was a small town.
Yes.
I actually worked there for a while as a university student, and I thought it was the end of the world. But it's got, what's the population? It's about 600,000.
Over 600,000 now.
I mean, it's a very diverse population. It's no longer that little rose city out there by itself, you know,
No,
typical
it's
white
changed.
Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
It's changed a lot. When I first got elected in 1991, my whole ward pretty much was all Italian Portuguese. Now the top 3 languages in the city are Urdu, Gujarati, and Punjabi.
But that's a
Change.
plus, isn't it? I mean, you've
yeah.
got a hugely diverse population in a city that's growing. It's gone, you know, in my lifetime from 50,000 now to 600,000 plus.
It's a very big advantage. For me, when I go out and sell Brampton, it's easy. The population, the average age is 35, very diverse, very well educated. And many other mayors are struggling to attract a population. I have no struggles in attracting people.
But you have problems getting other kinds of investments. For example, it's got to be one of the major cities that doesn't have a university.
Not yet, but we're gonna. Ryerson University has agreed to build their first campus outside of the city of Toronto. And Mohammed Lashmi worked with the Sheridan College, put together an application, went to the province approved it, and
So
they're building their first.
You got 2 partners.
We got 2 partners, and actually we have other partners because the Chang School is also part of the application. Algoma University is also working with them, so
That's
it's a
satellite
terrific
campus, isn't it?
very satellite, but at the end of the day, it serves an Aboriginal, senior, veteran population that the province that feels is underserved. And for me, I got a lot of newcomers coming with training from overseas, and they want to find a way to take their credentials from overseas and plug them into a Canadian institution. Ryerson wants to be that institution. So they're going to build a National Centre for Cybersecurity. The only other place in Canada where that's happening is in New Brunswick. So we're very excited about that opportunity.
That's all government money out in New Brunswick.
It is, but you know...
Is there a partnership here in Brampton?
There is going to be partnerships. Right now, Ryerson is essentially working the program with Sheridan, because Sheridan already has some cyber programming. The federal government is very interested. The private sector is interested. Anybody who's been watching the news in the last couple of months, Facebook's had problems, banks have had problems, healthcare institutions all have breaches of personal data. When I talk to cybersecurity experts, they cannot find enough people in Canada to hire. They're going overseas. One company I talked to went for 300 jobs, couldn't find any in Canada.
300. They could have been here, should have
Could have been here, and Ryerson is very progressive. They're not talking about a 4-year degree. they're talking about a 16-month degree.
It's
so
intensive
they're
study.
really going to intensify it. The private sector is very interested. Just talked to Canadian Tire. They're building a facility in Brampton with 600 jobs. They had no idea Ryerson was coming. They use AI or artificial intelligence. They want to find a way to plug in their programming into Ryerson. So everybody is very excited. This Ryerson decision is like a magnet.
James, where would they set up? I mean, typically universities are looking for a lot of space, you know, green stuff, give everybody kind of a very environmental type of experience, but
that's the
where
old
are they?
mindset. You know, I think
Thanks
about
a lot
that
for giving me a compliment.
No, I'm an old set too. I think of Arundel campus type
Right.
of, you know, the lawn, the trees, the buildings in the distance. Ryerson is our city builders. As you know from the city of Toronto, they're smack dab in the middle of Dundas and Yonge Street, and they have all of their campus all around the building. Ryerson had 10 locations within Brampton to choose from. They chose our downtown GO station above the parking lot. They're going to go up. They're going to...
So for those of us who aren't from Brampton, where's that downtown station? It's on Hurontario? Or
It's
I
on
guess it's not-
Hurontario. Hurontario and Queen is probably the best big
Corner,
intersection
yeah.
that you would know. It's a little further north than that, but this downtown GO station is an area that most people wouldn't even know about. We as a city are land banking all of the properties in and around that location so that when Ryerson starts to build the parking that they displace, we will have parking adjacent to it. We are also, as a city, we've agreed as a council unanimously to put $150 million into our downtown, building a new central library, a new center for innovation. We put some skin in the game. We, in fact, have put more skin in the game than the province because we see this as the opportunity to grow business and jobs and pride in the city of Brampton.
So why don't we talk about that for a moment? Because, you know, it's easy to pick out all the negatives, and, you know, our newspaper and our station now is not immune from that. And
Yeah.
there have been things in the past in Brampton, you know, one only talks about the past as a point of reference, but you had a big project to extend that LRT,
Yeah.
and you blew it. I mean, as a council, not you
Yeah.
personally, but you had other monies
Yeah.
for the development of that GO station and transit systems and transportation, and you blew it.
Missed opportunity.
What's the problem? I mean, now you're talking about land banking.
Yeah.
And land banking, I hope you've done it already, because there's got to be people out there thinking,
No,
okay,
we
the
did
price just went up.
We're way ahead. We're way
okay.
ahead.
So
It was a
all
missed
the problem?
opportunity. When the province of Ontario comes to you and offers you $400 million in light rail transit,
Which is what they did.
your answer is yes.
Yeah, how soon can I join?
Exactly. I feel like the lady in the IKEA commercial, I need to start the car. Go, take the money, run, go. My council dithered, spent a lot of time arguing about the downtown being historic. It's not. It's a historic downtown in their eyes only. It's a sad, dilapidated downtown that really needed all of the services underground to be done. We as a city now are going to go and do it. It's going to cost us $30 million. If we had worked with the province, we could have cut those costs significantly. I believe transit is the way to level the playing field, whether it's education or transit. Those are two affordability issues that help newcomers, seniors, students.
But it helps people stick around.
It helps
You
people,
know, what's the
businesses.
purpose of educating them and then exporting them back out?
No, and really, how am I going to get my students into my downtown to go to school? I still have the problem, but it was a vote that took place at 2 o'clock in the morning in our Rose Theatre, and we lost by 1 vote. So it was a missed opportunity. And now council, the existing council that voted against it, are studying 2 parallel routes to the Main Street route where actually all the transit is. We're spending $4.4 million to study routes that the province has not supported. No engineer has supported, no planner has
So
supported.
why doing it?
I have no idea. I think there must be some people who own land up those sectors that my council that's leaving are supportive of. When I get elected on the 22nd, one of the first things this council is going to do is to stop spending money on environmental assessments that have no value.
But if you got a big enough team to be able to say, okay, now I can get these people elected and they have more or less a vision, that's sort of like party type thinking. You know,
Yeah.
if you got a caucus big enough to be able to effect those changes.
I think we're going to have a big enough change. Last council, there were 7 new people of 11. I thought that was enough. It really wasn't, because I had 4 members of council from the old council return who really poisoned the well for those conversations. Then the opportunity this time is those 3 of them are leaving, and one is running against me. So at least 4 positions will change. That's going to refresh our council. And the people running are excellent candidates. I have a pharmacist, I have a lawyer, I have a college lecturer. I have some really smart candidates running who represent the
Do they have the
diversity.
same kind of vision of Brampton as you do?
I think they do. I think they may even have a better vision than I do. They're progressive, they're smart. I don't expect we're always going to agree, and that's okay. I think debate's healthy. But I know that they care about what's happening at the city. They were disappointed by many poor decisions of this council, whether the council decided to raise their salaries, they decided to bail out a hockey club for $1.5 million, they bought a failing golf club. They made lots of progressively bad decisions that I think have an impact on the tax base. And many residents have seen that, and this time they want to change. So there's going to be some great opportunities with this retirement factor that I think will really change. My council will actually look like Brampton. Because up until now, my councils looked like me. I'm not the face of Brampton anymore. It's diverse, it's young, it's progressive, and I think we're going to have a progressive council.
So are you actually telling everybody you can vote for me, but I'm going to be gone?
No,
You're not saying that.
No, I'm just saying that we need a more diverse group of people that represent the whole city. I've got people from the Filipino, the Portuguese, the Italian, the Sikh, the Muslim community, all coming together. This council is going to be a council that's going to row together, that's going to speak together and speak for the residents and their best interests. You know, one of the things I promised when I first got elected was I said I was going to lower my salary by $50,000. I wanted to demonstrate to the public I was serious about their tax dollars.
So did you?
I did it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. So
50,000 at a time?
every year I lowered it by 50,000. So I was serious about making a difference and
So are you
demonstrating.
working for free?
Not free. I earn a good salary, but I wanted to demonstrate to my residents I was serious about saving tax dollars and doing things differently. So I did it. I said I was going to bring a university. I brought a university.
Well, since I have a certain amount of partiality towards that particular, but it's not just universities that you need. Brampton, we come across a lot of residents in Brampton. There's an emerging seniors population. That's why I was shocked by the number 35 is the average age, but you still have lots and lots of seniors, and they're
Yes.
the biggest consumers of the healthcare system.
Yes.
I know you have a nice hospital, but it's not the only one you need.
Yes, you're right. So one of the reasons I left municipal politics was to go and get more health care. And when I left in 2003 from City Council, all we had was Peel Memorial, a very small, dilapidated hospital that had a fire, a flood, and 1 working elevator. We were probably around 350,000 people at the time, and if you needed health care, you pretty much had to leave Brampton to go and get it.
Well, you wouldn't have gone to Vaughan. They're only just now getting a
Now,
hospital.
you pretty much went to Mississauga or Toronto to get better health care. So in the 11 years that I was an MPP, we got Brampton Civic, almost $2 billion in health care. Peel Memorial was raised and rebuilt, the first phase, but we need up to 3 phases for that hospital. Brampton Civic is now 10 years old. When it was built, the emergency room was built for 180 visits a day. We receive, on average, 400 visits a day. That growth that we've talked about is an opportunity, but it's also a challenge. People from outside Brampton come into our emergency room. We keep growing, and we don't get the dollars from the province to support health care.
So do you have the support of the entrepreneurial class in Brampton?
I think we have a lot of developers and lawyers and philanthropists who help the hospital. I myself give monthly to the hospital, but it's not enough. You need a provincial partner. And funding formulas are driven by census data. So the census data, we're always playing catch up because we're always ahead of the census. So Brampton Civic is great healthcare, great doctors, great nurses, but they cannot manage the flood of humanity that comes in the door. And I had hoped when we opened Peel Memorial, which is an urgent care center, that would take the heat off of Brampton Civic. It did for 2 weeks. Not enough. And that hallway medicine that we heard about in the news last year is something that continues to exist in Brampton. Even I was in the hospital last night with a family member watching the traffic going through the hospital. Great healthcare, great doctors, great nurses, but we need more resources coming to Brampton, and I will be talking with the Minister of Health, Christine Elliott, I asked her in August, come for a visit. You've got to see how busy this is. I cannot describe
Well,
it.
how much of that is due to the fact that people who weren't accustomed to having the facilities there, including the staff, the expertise that comes with it, that you finally have it and now you use it?
I think it's just a matter of high growth. You know, there was a perception, I think, at the beginning that people coming to use the hospital were not there for medical reasons. They are. You know, we have, as many of us have heard in the news lately, a lot of mental health issues are showing up in the emergency room. There's got to be a better way to manage that. I don't think an emergency room is the best place to be handling a mental health crisis. So we need some ways to divert some of those issues, whether it's seniors, as you talked about earlier. I have a very high seniors population. I want to keep them healthy as long as possible. I'm selfish. My volunteers, my best volunteers, are my seniors. They're the people that show up and support so many issues and other seniors in our community. If I can keep them healthy longer, I will. I have the challenge of having the highest diabetes incidence anywhere in Ontario is in Brampton.
No.
Right now, 1 in 10 people is a diabetic in Brampton. Highest anywhere in
Not
Ontario.
among seniors, all
Across-
of the
across the
population. 1 in
population.
10, that's 60,000.
That's a lot of people, and it's going in the wrong direction. I'm told it's going to 1 in 6. So we as a city need to find ways to keep our population healthier, more trails in our parks, more recreation programs, cheaper recreation programs. So I've committed through a seniors policy that we've just launched in the last week or so to take a premium pass for seniors at 70 years old, bring it down to 65. I want them swimming and skating and using any recreation supports that they want for a lower price. We have $1 seniors fare for the transit, so they can travel on all of our transit for $1. It's the cheapest anywhere in the GTA. We have a program to help them shovel their snow. We've doubled that program so that they don't have to worry about shoveling it. They can pay somebody to shovel it, and we'll help them.
So, as I hear you speaking, you're actually talking about either expanding the community, the community center approach or community services. Those aren't things that are typically in the realm of the municipalities, although the infrastructure component is.
Yeah.
Have you got enough?
We are going to have enough in the coming years because we've been putting 2% away every year for our infrastructure. We have a plan. We have a recreation master plan that takes us out for 15 years. We have an arts and culture master plan that takes us out 15 years. We have a 2040 vision. So the last 4 years we've been working on vision documents, talking with our residents, asking them what they want, understanding that the way they use our facilities has changed. The way seniors use our parks have changed, the way they use our recreation facilities, the way they use our libraries has changed. We need to be nimble, we need to be attuned to what their changing needs are, and that's what we're doing. We've changed the way we budget, the way we put our resources aside, but we also need to make sure we continue the conversation we've had with our federal and our provincial counterparts. Municipal governments, as you already know, have 3 sources of income: property taxes, user fees, and other levels of government. When other levels of government offer you money, you say yes. You find ways to use those resources. User fees need to be a reasonable cost, otherwise people won't use them. And our property taxes, up until quite recently, have been based completely on residential. We need to build that commercial industrial, and then it will lower
What are you doing in that regard? I was just going to ask you about, and I've heard you say this thing about residential taxes, et cetera, but you have a whole potential for commercial, business, industrial development. Is it under-tapped?
Absolutely. We really have.
So if you have an economic development strategy,
we have one. It's not as aggressive as I would like. I think we need to go out and chase business. Business doesn't come to you. And we're competing with other cities of a very similar size, and a lot of people don't know where Toronto is. So one of the things we did in the last year is we actually put our name in for the Amazon bid for the headquarters. And when I approached our city manager and our economic development officer, they were like, "Oh, it's going to take too much time, and we can't do it at night and on the weekends." Very short deadline. I said, "We're still going to apply because we want to be part of that bid book of the GTHA, the Greater Toronto Hamilton Area, because people don't know where Brampton is. They don't know how close it is in proximity to Toronto, the Pearson Airport, where we are in proximity to Kitchener-Waterloo. We're right in between Toronto and Kitchener-Waterloo on that super innovation corridor. Our proximity, our location to the airport and those big cities is a selling feature. So I've been out traveling to San Diego, to Boston, to attract businesses from the healthcare, life sciences cluster to come to Brampton, to bring those good paying jobs. And working with Ryerson on that national cybersecurity. So it's kind of two-pronged at this point, attracting businesses. I've had interest from people from China, from the Philippines, from Turkey, from the UAE, who see the diversity in Brampton and see it as being a very attractive place to do business.
So you've got all this experience, you've got your network, you've got, political know-how. One of the knocks against Brampton has to do with the D word. It's a dirty word in some cases, developers. Have you got a handle on them?
I think they're coming around. I think up until quite recently, the tail has been wagging the dog in Brampton.
The developers being the tail.
The developers have been the tail, and really, council let it happen. Council, essentially, their campaigns were paid for by developers. They went to golf games and lunches with the development community. Nothing wrong. Love developers. I know they can do a good job, but we haven't pushed them to build up. We've been sprawl as a city. We need to go up. We need to build services where transit is, where libraries, where healthcare, where all those services are, and that density will help our city be more successful. We're ready for it. We've been as my South Asian community calls it, a sleeping city for a long time. People leave our city to go and work or go to school, and they come home to sleep. I remember that when I first bought my house. My first house back in 1983, I remember my husband and I thinking, it's so much money. It's $59,000. You can't find anything for $59,000 now.
I couldn't find anything for $59,000 in 1983.
It was a place that I could afford. My husband and I stopped paying our student loans and bought a house. Now we need more affordable housing. We need to find ways to make this an attractive city for families, for business, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay. Linda Jeffries, Mayor of singular,
Yep.
of Brampton. And I guess you're going to be looking forward on Monday night to getting all that vote of confidence.
Well, I'm hoping everybody gets out to vote. October 22nd is your last chance to get out and vote 4 days from now. Please get out and vote. Take your aunts, your uncles, your neighbors, your brothers, your sisters. Right now, 1 in 3 people votes. Decisions are made by those who show up. Please show up.
Good message. So, thank you very much, Linda. So it's Joe Volpe signing off for Go Live TV, Corriere Canadese, and the Corcan Media Group. We thank Linda Jeffrey for taking time out of her campaigning to come here and talk to us about what should be happening in Brampton, to all those who are watching or those who are reading in Corriere Canadese on a daily basis. You can follow us on hard copy.